channel. My name is Kubeir. I'm a CEC licensed immigration consultant, and I love immigration, Canadian immigration, for everything that it does in terms of it's like a typical Bollywood movie, right? It has all kinds of thrills. It has action, drama, suspense, thriller. It is tearjerker. It brings you joys. You celebrate. It's everything, right? There is romance, everything as far as Canadian immigration is concerned. Latest Canadian experience class draw that happened is something that is amazing, and amazing. Why? Because so much of speculation that happens, it's unbelievable as to how much rumors, how much panic things is created when IRCC is not behaving in the way you expect it to behave. And that's the reason we want IRCC to be a bit more transparent. We want IRCC to come out and give us schedule in advance and tell us what's happening, so that we don't go through that roller coaster of emotions. But no, IRCC does what they do best, as in keep everything in suspense, and then we're always thinking. And when the draws don't happen, or when IRCC doesn't behave in a certain manner, we're always thinking of a doomsday. Oh, express entry is shut down. Oh, there will be no more draws. Oh, there will be no more CEC draws. Oh, they will throw everybody out of Canada. Oh, Canada will go absolutely empty and there will be nobody there. I don't know, all kinds of stories. Also, another thing that happens is social media. I mean, it's a dual-edged sword, right? It's a very sharp one for that matter. There are good things, there are bad things. There are TikToks, there is Instagram Reels, there is YouTube videos, there is X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And people read posts, people interpret those posts or those reels in a manner that is a reflection of their own state of mind. And based on that, they then further speculate, further create panic. And therefore, it's extremely important to be very careful as far as the information that you consume on social media, and then relate it to your application, relate it to your situation, relate it to what's happening in Canadian immigration. Having said all of that, let's start with today's live stream and obviously with today's weekly roundup. And of course, we have so much to unpack, so much to talk about. And it always happens with me, right? And as much as I have a full list of things that I want to cover in today's live stream, eventually, after the live stream is all done and finished, and then I realize, oh, this is what I also wanted to talk about. Oh, this I should have also added. And it always happens. But I hope I try and cover as many things as possible today. Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup, of course, we're there everywhere. Topics of discussion, express entry. Of course, let's start with express entry. So they had a draw last week, which was a PNP draw, and then we didn't really hear anything at all, right? And therefore there was this speculation that maybe express entry draws will not happen, or the CEC draws will not happen. But again, this week, IRCC started the week quite well. They conducted a draw, express entry draw with a PNP, and whenever there is a PNP draw, our hopes are all soaring high, because we expect, based on the trend and how IRCC has been behaving, we expect that IRCC will be conducting a category draw, CEC draw, at least something that goes with the PNP. It's like PNP is like your starter, right? It's like your appetizer, and then we want to see the main course, and then we want to see the dessert, right? And therefore, what happened last week was they served the appetizer, they served the starter, and we didn't hear anything else, and we were all left high and dry. So therefore, this week, thankfully, there was this express entry PNP draw. It was followed by a CEC draw. The PNP draw had only 125 invitations, of course, because that may be the number of people who were in the pool with the 600 points who would have received the nomination over a course of 1 week. Now, obviously, I'm not sure how many of you have realized, but the number of people who are getting invited into PNP has significantly dropped, right? 125, 200 people, 150 people. And that is primarily, the reason for that primarily is that nominations are not being issued at the same speed that they were being issued earlier, last year, for example, because this year, as we all know, the quotas have been slashed by 50%, and therefore there aren't that many nominations to go around, and that's why the numbers have dropped. But the CRS score, of course, is at 784. A lot of you still confused. How can somebody get a score of 784? I mean, are you not familiar that IRCC also conducted a draw at 75 CRS score 3 years back? I mean, if that can happen, no, 3 years, 4 years now. So if somebody can be in express entry pool with a score of 75 CRS, then in this case, why can't somebody be there in the pool with 184? I mean, 600 for nomination, 184, of course, for their own CRS. So absolutely possible. And these are individuals who primarily have job offer, they have Canadian experience, Canadian education, may not have, maybe quite older as far as the age is concerned, may not have very high scores in English language or neither, or French language for that matter. And therefore, their complete factor points are low, but they have obtained a job offer. They have got the nomination, and therefore, they're able to get through with this. So this is what happened with the PNP, and then we move along, and this was the big one, which we have been anxiously waiting for almost what three months now. March, April, May, June. Oh, almost coming to 4 months. Almost coming to 4 months, and ever since Feb, we didn't really see a decent draw. And then IRCC in the month of May conducted that a very petty 500 invitation draw, which just did not make sense. I always felt that one of the reasons for conducting that 500 kind of a draw was that they were trying to conduct a test or the sample test from the whole pool after they had removed the job offer points to see if it was still behaving all right or not. That was my theory, and it seems that might have just been suitable on this one, because IRCC did come back. They did conduct a draw this time. Finally, 3,000 invitations issued, and the score was 529. Now, a lot of you are always wondering how many people are there in the pool, how many are CEC. I have some data to share with you on that one as well. But this was at 529, and what were we expecting, right? If there has been no draw for nearly 4 months, and when they do conduct a draw, then obviously it's going to be a high score. That's what we saw with the score of 547. But let me take this question here in between. Why miseducation category? Why are you expecting that education category is going to get invited every month or every couple of months? If you have those kind of expectations, please don't have those kind of expectations. I've also been getting questions as to when is the next French draw, or why are the Francophone draws not happening? Well, guys, in the month of February, IRCC overdrew the French draw, right? They sent out 18,500 invitations. That was, I wouldn't call it ridiculous, but that was like, oh, what are you doing, IRCC? I mean, why so many draws as far as French category is concerned? But when they have overdrawn at some point of time, they will have to balance out. People often forget that IRCC does not have a limitless supply of invitations to send out. At some point of time, they have to be balanced out somewhere or the other. So when you are expecting education category draw or healthcare category draw or Francophone category draw, don't expect it to happen every month or every 2 months or very, very frequently. No. French draws, we already know, will happen more frequently than otherwise, because they've had an 8% target for this year, on the way to increasing it to 12%. I'm not sure if the 12% number will come this year or will it happen next year. I do not know that. But the Mark Carney has always made it very, very clear, has already made it very, very clear that that's what they're aiming for, 12%. But in the meantime, we still have to see a STEM category draw. We still have to see a trade category draw. We still have to see which one are left? 1, 2, food and agri draw as well. So those draws still haven't got the favor from IRCC. So those are still pending or awaited. And therefore, if you're expecting an education category draw quickly, not going to happen. Or even if they do conduct a draw. I mean, of course, who am I to say when the draws will happen or not? I don't have that insight, details or information. But expecting it, I mean, if it happens, great. We can all be very happy about it. But expecting that it will happen very, very quickly or again and again every month or every couple of months, that you have to sort of sort out your expectations, because that way you're going to continue to get disappointed. Maintain very good scores, maintain high scores. You already know what the last draw has been at, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, or any other category. Maintain your scores above that number, never below that number. Don't always expect that the scores will drop. Always expect that the scores will stay at the same number or maybe higher. That way you will be able to manage your expectations well. Why? Because every time a draw happens, more people get motivated, more people are already preparing to get to that number, more people are, because it's only, look at the qualification criteria, which is a ridiculous 6 months. 6 months and you're in. I mean, can they make it any more easier than that? They can't, right? And I mean, you don't want me to get started with another rant on how ridiculous this whole category draw situation is, but I mean, probably I will try and do that rant to the end of this stream. But with that, category draws with 6 months is what is needed, and education categories were already announced, last year. Lots and lots of people have been, jumping into the, into the pool, getting that work experience. Even from January this year, we're already in the month of June. A lot of people have gotten early childhood educator certificates, early childhood educator assistant category work experience. So all of them are all jumping in. They're all going to be eligible under the education category. So never ever expect the scores to drop. Always at least at the same level or more. That way you won't get disappointed. But that's how it's going to run around. CEC draws did happen as we were talking about it. And what happened to the pool? No, this is the pool breakdown. This is 2nd June versus 11th June, not 10th June. For a change, what IRCC did is IRCC published the pool breakdown on the 2nd of June. Of course, they did before the PNP draw last week. Then they also published the pool breakdown on the 10th of June. That was also after the pool PNP draw. And then 2 days later, when they did conduct the CEC draw, they published an updated pool again, which is very unlike of IRCC. They usually, in a week, if they're conducting several draws or multiple draws, they don't really issue a fresh pool breakdown. They stick with the same one that they've issued the first time. But this was a nice one, because they did update the pool breakdown on the 11th as well. So the date there is not 10th of June, it should be 11th. So what are we looking at right now? 90 people were with 601, but they issued out 125 invitations, which were already done with, right, on the 10th of June. So this 90 were people who would have received nominations after the draw had happened. So those are the 90 who will, of course, get cleared out. You already know. Comparison between the 2nd of June and the 10th of June tells you 501 to 600. In a week's time, only about 400 people joined the pool in a week's time. Now, why is that important? That is important. Why? Because all that effort that was put into advocating to remove the job offer points. I have to be honest, I wasn't advocating for it, but whoever was, and kudos to them. So all that effort that was put in actually removing the job offer points actually has served well. And how is it served well? Well, because earlier, and I'm not sure how many of you remember those data points as well, but earlier, from one draw to another draw, the number of people in the pool that would get increased at 501 level was a huge number, substantial number, almost at a speed of about 150 profiles, 200 profiles at times per day. So in a span of 2 weeks, you would see roughly 2,500 profiles. Sometimes more, sometimes a bit less, but that was becoming the average, because obviously lots and lots of people were, after being frustrated and getting fed up with the scores not coming down, were resorting to buying LMIAs, and that had become a huge scam by itself. And therefore the government stepped down on it, put their foot down, removed those points, and now the impact is right in front of you. The number of profiles got added only 400, which is believable, which is more livable with, I'm saying livable, you can live with this number. But again, there is another catch on this one. How are people getting such high scores, 500 plus, right? It's only in this year. When I'm saying this year, I mean in 2025, 2024, not even in 2024. Even in 2024, the number of profiles above 500 were high, but of course, you wouldn't see that big a drastic change. Then towards the end of 2024, you started seeing large number of people getting added into the pool. And of course, 2025 went to a different level. What was the differentiator here? Job offer points aside, yes. You know what was the differentiator? The other differentiator was the foreign work experience. No, people are smart, okay? And when you give them a set of rules, either people figure out a better way or more efficient way to play within those rules, or sometimes, of course, they go outside that box as well. And when you go outside the box, you had the LMIA scam, right? The job offer points, claiming those. But within the box, what can you do within the box? People call it a scam. I don't call it a scam because it's within the box. It's within the law, within the rules. So what all things that happened? Uh, Spouses started showing themselves as married but unaccompanied. Again, a very, very well-known, now already established way of increasing your points if your spouse is not adding additional points. IRCC is coming down heavily on that as well. More and more procedural fairness letters are coming out. Refusals are coming out. Second one is people smartening up, realizing that they came to Canada fresh out of high school, fresh after completing their undergrad and getting a bachelor's degree, hopping onto the boat and coming to Canada, and then completing their 1 year 2 year diploma, and realizing that just with 1 year Canadian experience they are still left pretty short. In 2020, 2021, 2022, the flagship of Canadian permanent residence programs was study in Canada. So if you study in Canada, you can become PR very easily. Why? Because you can come to Canada, study in Canada, 1 year program, 15 points CRS for studying in Canada. 1 year work experience in Canada would give you 40 points for work experience plus additional points for skills transferability. Straight away, your score is 460, 470, 480, kind of a number, depending on your profile. And there was no way you can't get through. But 2023 crept in, and then the big pause of draw, and then category draws started. And suddenly the 480s started going out of your reach. People, not everybody is just desperately waiting. Hey, okay, I will wait maybe the next draw. Okay, I will wait maybe after 3 months. Okay, I will wait after 6 months. No, not everybody is waiting around for the scores to drop down. There are people who are really smart. They strategize. They understand what can they do. So rather than waiting for the scores to drop, they take action. They put in the efforts, and they make sure they go out and increase their score so that they can meet the draws and get the draws and get through. So what are they doing? They get foreign experience. By getting that 1 year of foreign experience, they were able to add 38 extra points. If you already have 2 years of Canadian experience, they were able to add 50 extra points. People worked remotely. People went back to their home countries, or any other country for that matter, as long as it was outside Canada. They gained that work experience. So over 20 from towards the end of 2023 versus now in 2025, people have been doing it. People have been completing it. I know it because we have been strategizing with so many people that, okay, this is what you can do, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, this won't help you, but if you do this, this, and this is a result of it. So same way, people have been strategizing, figuring out better ways to improve their scores. And then if you are part of my channel, if you're part of my Facebook groups or anywhere, I have been shouting, literally, figuratively, literally, and this was since 2020, that get on to the French wagon. If you are not getting on to it, you are missing out big time. And that's where some people showed better sense and jumped onto the wagon. Of course, other people are still realizing, should they, shouldn't they, should they, because it's too difficult, it's too much of an effort. So, everything in life doesn't come easy. For some, you have to really work. And again, I've been saying this before and I'm saying it again, Canada is not the end game. It's not like if you don't get to Canada, or if you do not get permanent residence of Canada, then that will be the end of life, and that will be the end of the entire well-being for you. Of course not. You may find better things elsewhere. You might find better landscape elsewhere. You might find better jobs, better opportunities, better life elsewhere. And that's perfectly fine for you. But for anybody else who thinks or who wishes or who wants to make Canada their end goal or their destination, for whatever the reason is, maybe you can help us understand why you want to do that. But then you may have to take those extra steps, and taking French, or rather learning French and adding that as your second language, is still a huge factor. Now, obviously, if you come from the francophone countries, okay, whether you are on the African continent, whether you're on the European continent, regardless, then obviously it's easier for you. But if you're not from those countries where French is the language that you speak on a regular basis, then learning French can be a difficult proposition. On an average, it can take you about a year and a half, at least, approximately, with 3 to 4 years of daily practice, surrounded by people who do speak French, probably taking classes, watching a lot of French TV or YouTube or whatever that might be, or consuming a lot of media in French. And then you can score CLB7. And lots of people have been doing it. And those are also the people who have been increasing the scores. And that's where you are seeing that 25,000 people still in the pool of Express Entry, even after having removed the job offer points. And there's also that another factor of certificate of qualification. A lot of people actually did manage to get certain certificates of qualification within the trade categories. All in all, you have to appreciate those people who have gone out of their comfort zone and have done it. And I absolutely congratulate each and every one of those people out there who have absolutely done the difficult, or done the hard work here. And they absolutely deserve every single congrats that they get for getting their ITAs when they get at this level. So if you're still thinking, then you should know that you are competing with 25,000 people right now. And it's going to be a hard play. From here on, what's going to happen is, for people who are commenting here in this comment box, what about the scores 513 and 510 and 518 and 515 and etc, etc, etc? Well, I don't know, to be very honest, what scores are going to look like and how they're going to play out, because what matters most is IRCC, because they are the ones who are in the driving seat. How many invitations do they issue out? How consistently do they conduct the draws? And hopefully we don't see any stoppage in draws anymore. And if they continue to conduct draws in a regular fashion, fingers crossed, then we can absolutely expect the consistent drop in scores. And now, more so now, after the removal of job offer points, because the number of people into the pool that are getting added are not as high, or will not be as high as earlier, therefore the scores should also drop faster than otherwise. And of course, if IRCC has any intention to bring the scores down faster, then we are hoping for a larger draw size and probably a consistent or a back-to-back draw, which they have done before as well. So again, lots of ifs and buts, because that's the game of speculation, right? You don't have those data points, you don't have that inside information, and therefore you're just speculating based on what they have done in the past. However, now let's look at the other thing. What I've shown you is already one thing, but I was going to do this later on, but let's do this now. This is an article on LinkedIn that was shared by a fellow RCIC, Burku Akyol, excellent consultant. You should follow her on LinkedIn as well, because she does manage to get some very decent ATIP notes. And this was the data that she managed to get from IRCC. Again, a lot of people keep pointing fingers whether it's genuine or not. Well, to you guys, all I can say is, why don't you try and get one? Okay, because nobody else has a time and patience to continue to offering you those kind of data without, if they're not genuine. So anyways, so Burku, that's her picture here. She managed to get another set of ATIPs, very interesting one, and this one has top 20 NOC codes in the pool as of April 7th, 2025. So this is the snapshot. Why this data is so important is because it gives us an insight into the pool at the time when the job offer points were being removed. Okay, they hadn't completely removed, because if you remember, 25th of March is when they did remove the job offer points. After 25th of March, this is as of April 7th, means IRCC was still in the process of removing points. They still hadn't removed everybody whose 50 points was still to be removed. And that's when we had the big gap of the draws. I mean, we didn't really see any draws happening at that point of time. And but the interesting bit, As of 7th of April, there were 240,000 people in the express entry pool. Canadian experience class 159,000. Federal skilled worker class 80,000 approximately. Skills trade, I mean, there's no point of even talking about that because they haven't conducted a draw in more than 4 years, 5 years now. And at that point of time, there are only 530 people in the PNP. So PNPs are always not relevant whenever we talk about this data because they obviously get invited. Uh, the most important for me here was these 5 knock codes who form the top 5 of the top 20. Food services supervisor 62020. Now there are 13,900 people in the pool. Now you can imagine how many people are resorting to these occupations. So this is where the biggest problem starts. As an international student, when you come to Canada and you choose to opt for these occupations, which are considered as extremely low skilled, they're also low priority. Most of the provinces will shut doors on these occupations first because there are just too many of them. And therefore, international students, when you're coming to Canada, you have to be very smart. You cannot just take the first easy job that you get. And in most cases, people opt for Tim Hortons, McDonald's, Subways, A&W's, Burger King's, Pizza, or I mean, I can name all franchises for that matter, but that's where you guys start, and that's where the problem is. That's where you get stuck. The second important one was cooks are 8,970. Now, mind you, this is not at a score range. This is the total number of people in the express entry pool at that point of time on the 7th of April. And then you had software engineers, 6,900, administrative assistants, this is the fourth category, 6,300. You still had software developers with 6,325. And then, of course, if you see the top 20, you had a lot of IT guys. You still had computer and information managers. You had database analysts. You had business system specialists. You had information system specialists. You had and then the software developers, software engineers. So as much as IT guys always give a lot of grief as to why they have been excluded, IT guys also form a huge chunk of the people in the pool. If you count from the first top 20, the total number of people only from IT background, how many those are within the top 20? There are more than 32,000 people there. Profiles. Again, this is as of April 7th. And mind you, by that time, IRCC had already started removing the people from the job offer. I mean, they had already started removing the job offer points. Okay. But what are the other interesting aspects here? Look at the CRS distribution for cooks now. Okay. And why we are talking about cooks, and I will tell you. Above 526 and 550, you have 25 people. Wow. Okay. Not bad at all. 501 to 525, there are 285 people, but this is where the most important one is. 451 to 475, you have 1,320. 476 to 500, you had 665. 426 to 450, 1,380. Now, why are these three sections actually these as well? Why is this number so important? This number is important. Now, if I total this, it comes to about, what is that, 2,600, 3,200, 3,500. Approximately 3,500 cooks are in the express entry pool with score of 426 and above. Why is this number important? Why am I talking too much about this? I'm talking because of trade category. And the reason why I'm talking about the trades category is because cooks are part of the trades category. And if you have 3,500 cooks with score of 426 and above, you know what? The express entry score for the trade category cannot go below 426. Not happening. Because IRCC, the chances of them issuing a draw at 3,500 for trades, of course, can happen, but I would be quite skeptical. I'm expecting more of a 1,500 kind of a draw, 1,500, 2,000 kind of a draw, at least in the first go. Maybe they'll have two draws, one of 1,500 and then again another of 1,500 later in the year. But if that is the expectation, where do you think the trades draw is going to happen? And therefore, this kind of a data gives you a lot of insight as to where the pool may be looking at, where the pool is standing at, and what kind of draws you might expect from certain categories. So I suggest to you guys, go onto the LinkedIn, search for Burku Akiol, download the whole data sheet, and I think the data sheet is here. and check the data for yourself. See different knock codes that are there. See different occupations that are there with different different CRS points. That will allow you yourself to understand what and where the scores are and where they can be. And this is only, as I was just talking about, cooks, right? And if cooks are part of the trade category, and if so many cooks are already there in the trade, and we haven't even spoken about the actual trades. I do not know why cooks were classified in trades. I mean, they should have been under the food category, or I don't know, food and beverage or whatever separate category. But cooks being included in trades has completely ruined the trade category. Now, within the trade category, the actual intent was to bring in people who are tradespersons. But having included the cooks, you have completely, increased the level that cooks will have to, I mean, the trades will have to get to. And a lot of trade categories will not get through because their scores will not be high enough. And that's the problem with category draws, that they haven't been able to classify it correctly. Had they classified it correctly, same thing is with the STEM category. They included the insurance agents in the STEM category. Put them in a separate category, or make a different category where you can identify that priority. And then you can, of course, if you need insurance agents, fair enough, you invite insurance agents separately. You want cooks, fair enough, you invite cooks separately. But you have cooks which are number 2 category with the number of occupations that, I mean, out from top 20. So can you imagine how many cooks we have in the pool, and then how many you can get invited? So then that's the trade category. And let me go back to the screen there, sorry. Going back here, and I mean, again, as I scroll down, category based alignments, you also have early child educator and assistants. What else have I got here? On her, yeah, that's basically what I had from her, I mean, post, but I will tell you something more as well. For people who are still asking what profile to follow in terms of Burku Akiol, you'll find her on LinkedIn, post some very good stuff. So please do follow her, and you can, of course, get this information. Let me just get rid of this, and then stop sharing and present to you, share screen window. Now this is the data we are talking about. This, of course, I have downloaded from the Burku's post, because this is the actual data that she was able to share. Now here, obviously, you will get much more details. You can see for each of these occupations, you can see the CRS breakdown, and you'll be able to see how many people are in the pool, at what level. Okay, that gives you a lot of information. As of April the 7th, 2025. 526 to 550, you had 2,130 people in the pool. Between 501 to 525, you had 19,965 people in the pool. I'm going to talk to you in a bit about that. But as I scroll down, you have plenty of information about different occupations. So please, by all means, and then if you see this list, you have all these other occupations, all of them. Okay, all the occupations are included here, so you can actually sit and check what is your occupation, where are the other people in that pool, how many people are there, and the entire breakdown is here. So excellent data. Thank you, Burku, for sharing this. This really helps a lot of us out there. But let's get to the more important factor. Look at this first information here, and I'm going to concentrate on these factors, right? Because this is where I'm most interested in. Scores of 501 to 525, you have 16,180. 526 to 550, you have 2,000 people. 551 to 575, 195 people. 576 to 600, my God, 576 to 600, you have 10 people. Who are these 10 people? These are gods of CRS score. I mean, how do you even score 576? I mean, hats off, you guys, because if I am going to guess this correctly, you have to have French as your second language. You would have also got very high scores in English language. You would also have probably got a master's degree in Canada. You obviously have Canadian work experience. You guys, hats off to you. I mean, you guys, yeah, you guys are going great guns. I'm sure you do very well in your lives. This is awesome. And then you guys are not bad either. 551, 195 people. So, all these people who are skeptical, how can people score so high? How can people get to this number? Well, this is the proof. People can get to those numbers. It's absolutely possible. I mean, not to diss on these two guys. You guys are also doing amazingly well. You did get to this level. It didn't happen by chance. And mind you, this data is as of 7th of April. Of course, after that, there have been few draws that were conducted. Some people would have been removed. Of course, lots more got added because now this total is only, I think, about 18, 19,000 people. After that, we are now sitting at 25,000, which basically means 5,000 people got added into this group. 5,000. That's still a lot. Means more people completing Canadian education, more people completing their Canadian experience, more people completing their foreign work experience, more people getting better scores in English, more people completing their French language and getting to this level. And this number keeps increasing. But this still gives you a snapshot because these guys, 785, 105, 10, who are federal skilled workers, unfortunately, even though they are sitting with such high scores, this is probably why, because either they have high French language scores. Otherwise, between 551 to 575, 10 people, federal skilled worker, unless you have Canadian education and French language and English language, of course, no Canadian experience points, you couldn't be getting that number. So 10 of you guys are those people. 100 people who are sitting here at 526 to 550 are those people who have Canadian experience, master's degree, probably a sibling, a PhD if possible, maybe a French language verse plus as well, and those are the guys. But these 785 are those individuals who are sitting with Canadian education, probably a master's degree, sibling or French, and that's the combination. These people, unless these FSWs here, roughly 1,000 numbers, I think, no, about 900. Unless you guys are part of a category, the chances of you getting invited, pretty much none. But I'm thinking most of you are probably francophones or French category. That's the reason as a federal skilled worker without any Canadian work experience, you guys are sitting at that number. Or if your Canadian experience has expired, as in you've gone more than that period of time. But other than that, this number is where our most important, where our concentration is. About 19,000 people. Again, 5 more thousand got added. So you're sitting at 25,000 people. I do not know how many more federal skilled worker, but I don't think too many. So if in the express entry pool, if you have 25,000 Canadian experience class, I'm just not going to consider FSWs at this point of time. There are only 1,000 of them. Even if you add few more, it can't be a very big number. So let's say 24,000 people. Out of 24,000 people, 3,000 have just been invited. So now that leaves you with 21,000 people in express entry pool with score of 501 plus. What is it looking like? How does this score take you? Where does it take you? Again, excellent data. I'm just going to take that off for a bit. With 21,000 people in the express entry pool, we need draws. We need big draws. We need consistent draws. How quickly they happen, that is how it brings up. Now, every time, every 2 weeks, if the number of people who are added into the pool is approximately 1,000, given that over the last 1 week, about 400, 500 were added, I'm just going on the higher side because that always gives us a bit of margin, error margin. And if they keep conducting a draw of only 3,000, means the numbers that are going down is only by 2,000 each time every 2 weeks. And with 2,000 numbers coming down, for 24,000 to clear out, you need how many? Do the math, guys. Come on. Let's see you do the math. From 24,000, if you only 2,000 are getting cut, because every 2 weeks, there are also 1,000 people getting added. On an average, I'm just taking an approximate number. So you're looking at roughly 12 draws. Okay, 12 to 24. You're looking at roughly 12 draws of 3,000 with the average addition of 1,000 profiles for this scores to clear out 501. That's the game, 12 draws. Now, 12 draws basically means if they conduct one draw every 2 weeks, which I don't expect, because there are going to be some category draws in between. Whenever there are category draws, they may not conduct the CEC draw, and they might wait for the next one. And then there is a gap of, instead of 2 weeks, there's a gap of 4 weeks, and therefore extra 1,000 people might have gotten added. With that averages, even with 12 draws, you're looking at roughly 6 months. Now, 12 threes are 36, 36 as in 36,000. 12 draws of 3,000 each, we will give you 36,000 invitations. I don't expect 36,000 invitations more for this year in CEC. Why? because the total number of invitations last year that they issued, I don't have the data right now, but was for CECs was about 25,000, I think. I don't remember the exact number. So expecting now with some, I think about 5,000, 6,000 ITAs already issued under CEC, for them to issue 36,000, I don't see that happening. I mean, I'm just doing the math. Do the math with me, okay? You will be able to speculate just the way I'm trying to speculate. It doesn't look possible. And 6 months from now, we are looking at December. Of course, there will be category draws. If they're going to be category draws, means they won't be conducting CEC draws in those probable weeks. Based on this, because they haven't been conducting draws, I do not see 500s getting cleared out this year, based on what I've just told you and the math that I'm talking about. If 500s are not getting cleared this year, then obviously we are now getting into the next year. Also, most of the ITAs that will start getting drawn out from in a couple of months' time would be the ITA quotas for next year, because this year's target is pretty much done. They already have more than 800,000 PR applications in inventory that they will be processing. They can very easily meet the target for this year. So this doesn't mean that they will not be conducting draws. They're not issuing ITAs. This just basically means that these targets are revolving numbers. It doesn't stop. They keep drawing out from the pool from the next year. So based on this, they will be looking to draw out invitations from next year. And when they're drawing out invitations from next year, you need to understand each year on year, the immigration targets are going lower and lower. This year it's 395,000, next year it's 380,000, then 365,000, reducing by 15,000. With this in play, I still believe that 500s should get cleared out. Based on what I'm just telling you, it doesn't look like it will happen this year, because and only because the math is not mathing here, right? So what are the circumstances in which it can happen? That IRCC starts conducting larger draws, hopefully keeping it very, very consistent. Probably, I would love to see a few draws of 5,000 for CECs or 6,000. 7,000 is being very, very hopeful, but hey, why not, right? They've done it before. So unless they conduct those kind of draws regularly, hope for it that they do a back-to-back draws. Because why a back-to-back draw? Even if they do a back-to-back draw, a chunk of it comes out, and then they can go back to doing a smaller, consistent draw that at least brings the whole pool level down, and that also brings the score levels down, and that can be managed from that lower level once they have already issued out, say, 15,000 invitations. Let's say they do 5,000 draws, 5,000 ITA draws back-to-back, 3 weeks. 15,000 invitations have been taken off. Only 10,000 people remaining in the pool. The scores would have come to 505, 506, 507. From there on, if they still do a 3,000 kind of an ITA draw, you would still be able to see the 500s getting cleared out within this year itself. But I know this is all wishful thinking, this is all speculation, but I'm just sharing with you the way I am thinking, the way I am calculating in my head, or the way that I use the data to figure out what can happen, how it happens. That way you don't have to ask me or anybody else that question, you will be able to do that yourself. But that's how express entry pool is looking like. It's only in IRCC, with only IRCC as to how quickly they conduct the draws and when they conduct the draws, but it is possible to see a 500, because had they not had this big gap of 3-4 months, 500s getting cleared out this year was a possibility, definite possibility. Actually, it could have happened even before the fall. But with this breaks that they have been putting, because the first time the data was issued after they had removed the job offer points, the number of people in the pool was 19,000. Had they started conducting the draws even with 19,000, you would have seen a bigger drop. Okay, but they allowed the pool to build up again. You had 6,000 more people joining, and now we are sitting at 25,000. And now you have to now clear out those 6,000 extras. Plus, every single 2 weeks, you have about 800 to 1,000 people who keep joining with 500 plus one score. So, word of advice for everybody out there: if you are still gunning for Canada, then please do whatever is required within the legal purview of the point system to improve your scores, because that's the only way you're going to make it happen. Right, PNP draws, we did have, of course, Ontario continues to conduct the draw, and Ontario is the next big news we have here. Ontario conducted a draw again on the 6th of June. This was conducted after they had already conducted a draw on 3rd and 4th, which you already know about. And this on the 6th was done. I think there was a technical glitch, and they still had to issue some draws pending, and that's when they conducted. They issued 72 more invitations under the foreign worker, international student, and in-demand skill stream. The scores remained relatively low of 36, 54, and 32. PNP updates. Now, this is what New Brunswick has been able to do. New Brunswick, and this also proves the point where I've been saying that it was Mark Miller who punished or penalized the provinces for not taking in the refugees or refugee claimants, and by reducing their PNP quotas. So New Brunswick has gone to the federal and said, okay, we will take 400 as asylum claimants over the next 2 years, and you give us the funding. So the federal has given them the funding of $14.1 million as well. And because of this, New Brunswick now has allocation of 1,500 additional nomination for this year, bringing their total to 4,250. This is big. And why this is big is because New Brunswick already has a lot of inventory that has been, of those applications that have been pending. And this way, all those people who have been waiting for New Brunswick PNP, you guys have big hope now that your applications may just go through all right. Quebec plans major immigration reductions by 2029. They actually want to drop it down to only 25,000, right? Down from 55,000 that they were early taking. And this is big. Quebec wants to completely reduce the intake of the immigration as far as their province is concerned. Saskatchewan leads Canada in job growth. Pretty cool there. And Quebec also requires French as a mandatory requirement for temporary workers by 2028. So don't be in a rush, not now. As of right now, you could still get a work permit in Quebec without knowing French. But of course, you should learn French because that would make it easier for you to get by. But starting 2028, temporary foreign workers in Quebec must demonstrate level 4. Now, level 4 French proficiency is not that bad. You can actually get to that number in 2 to 3 months if you really put your heart to it. So yeah, that's still a possibility, but this is coming. 2028, Francophones, French temporary residents will need to know French in Quebec. Sudbury was I think one of the last communities left to roll out their RCIP and FCIP program. They have also done this now. They've already announced their RCIP and FCIP categories. As you will see, by and large, the common factors have been seen as health, education, and trades. This is something which has remained consistent between all different communities. Of course, different communities have changed some of them, but by and large, all have concentrated on 5 industries and 25 occupations as of right now. West Kootenay in British Columbia has also identified their workforce key targets in their RCIP community, plus they've also identified their points and the grid point. Again, most of the RCIP communities have pretty much stayed on point, or rather similar grid points as well. In other news, okay, this is another big one. Francophone Mobility Program expansion set to expire on the 16th of June. Now, I know a lot of you, after watching all those beautiful TikTok reels and Instagram reels, and why do you watch those anyway, have been trying to gain the French proficiency of level 5 in order to apply for their work permit extensions or work permits under the Francophone Mobility Program. So for people who do not know, in 2023, Francophone Mobility Program existed. Francophone Mobility Program is where you can apply for a work permit if you have language proficiency of CLB level 7, and you had a job offer under tier category 0, 1, 2, 3. That was the Francophone Mobility Program. In 2023 June, they made a public policy exemption, temporary. They gave a temporary exemption for 2 years and said that we will remove the requirement of tier category 0, 1, 2, 3. Means you could have a job offer in tier category 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, any job. Okay. And we will also reduce the French language proficiency from level 7 to level 5. So if you have level 5 only in listening and speaking, it doesn't matter what proficiency you have in reading and writing, you would still be eligible to apply for a work permit. That public policy is set to expire on the 16th of June this year, which is day after tomorrow. Yeah. Which basically means that you have until tomorrow midnight UTC time zone, always UTC time zone, tomorrow midnight to submit your application with level 5 French and your job offer under any tier code to still be eligible. Now, unless on Monday, on 16th, IRCC comes up with the extension to this policy, it basically means Francophone Mobility Program will revert back to the requirement of CLB 7 and tier code 0123. Something very, very important, because I know a lot of people have been looking to apply for their work permits under this specific category. What else have we got? LMIA processing times have been updated. They stay ridiculously high at 235 days, business days, which means roughly 9-10 months for permanent resident stream. Low and high wage are 50 days and 14 days for the GTS stream. Hey, you know what? IRCC also has corruption, and it was figured out finally when they announced today their report on the misconduct. IRCC actually issued their own IRCC misconduct report, and it reveals that the employee interference was there in immigration files. 12 employees have accessed or altered immigration files, and one of them was looking to do it for money. Money. Yeah, so interesting there. I do not know what the whole investigation has come up with, but that was the report. I still think there is plenty more to be found out there. Sometimes these reports are only tip of the iceberg. They never really reveal the real meaty data. But you know what? This is what happens in all corporate organizations. After all, IRCC does have 13,000 employees across different offices and different visa offices across as well. So therefore, if it's just 12 employees, that number is really, really slow. Really, really low. And after all, humans being humans, this is bound to happen in any subset. OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, has highlighted economic strains from population surge. What it means is that they are saying that Canada's population grew by 3% in 23 and 2.6% in 24, and that it was the highest amongst 38 members. I think that is the 38 member countries of OECD, and that the GDP has gone up, but the productivity is low. What were you expecting when you were growing to go at this fast pace? IRCC work permit process for IEC. IEC stands for International Experience Canada. Now, before you get confused, International Experience Canada is only limited to about 36 countries, which has a participating agreement with Canada. And if you are a citizen of these countries, and if you are between the age of 25 and 35, depending on which program you're applying under, you could be eligible under the International Experience Canada. India is not part of this. Actually, none of the Asian countries within the Asian subcontinent are part of this. So please don't run to apply under IAC. But for them, if they are applying for a extension of their permits, and if they're applying for another stream, if they're eligible for, then they do not need to flag. Of course, flag polling is not done, but they will be able to get their work permits activated online, which is a good thing for them. I do not know how many of you are aware, Canada is floated the Bill C2, which is the Stronger Borders Act in the Parliament, which is pretty good. At least I propose it. There are some concerns as well, because this would grant God powers to IRCC. As far as immigration is concerned, they can then cancel any permit, stop any program, change the program, even if it is within its inventory. The last time they cancelled applications was in 2014, where all applications in its inventory had been returned and cancelled, and it created a big. I think there was even a class action suit against them, but didn't really go very far. But now this is what is being proposed as an act. So this will give them the mass cancellation powers, which is pretty scary if IRCC had those kind of powers. But the biggest advantage of this is the ineligibility for the asylum claims, which will bring down all the fake asylums that people have been claiming. A lot of international students, a lot of workers in Canada were misguided, were misled by certain individuals to apply for fake asylum claims, even if they were not eligible. Well, all of those guys obviously will not be able to do it. So effective June 24, 2020, that's like 5 years back, if you have stayed in Canada for at least 1 year, then you can no longer apply for asylum claims. And this section of the law is in effect already from the date this bill was tabled. So it's not like you can do it now before the act is approved. It's not that. You can't do it anymore. That's the end of the game. And even if you illegally cross the borders from the US to the Canada, from US to Canada, from the US to Canada, even then you are now no longer eligible to apply for the asylum claims. So this is a big change that has been made. IRCC, on its game to keep launching new portals and confusing people, have launched another new portal, and this time it's for visitors and super visa application. But you can only use this portal, one, if you're not using a consultant or a representative, because they have their own portal, they will do it for you. You can only use this portal if you are a single applicant and are not applying along with any family members. And yeah, it's only for a super visa or for a visit visa, provided you have never ever applied for any other visa as far as IRCC is concerned. So a new, I don't know what they keep doing with so many different new portals, but here you go, new portal with you. That's basically all I have for you for my live stream. If you guys are still here, hit that like button. Let this video go out to more people. And if you haven't subscribed, I'm not sure why you won't subscribe. Give me one reason why you won't subscribe and still watch this, right? No, okay, don't give me a reason. But just subscribe anyways. You want to see those numbers going up. For people who don't know and who are just watching for entertainment, then I am a CICC licensed immigration consultant. That's my name. I'm not sure if you knew that or not, but yeah, full-fledged immigration company. Oh yeah, there we have a banner right at the back. Yeah, of course. How can you not know? And if you are looking to hire a representative, because CEC draws are back, and if you're still confused, I mean, under normal circumstances, you should be able to do your application. IRCC has very detailed application guides. A lot of information is available online, but I understand a lot of people may still be looking for representation for different reasons. And if you're looking to hire a consultant, please consider us. To do that, drop us an email, support@askkubeir.com. We are pretty decent at what we do. I mean, I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but we do. We have a very decent team. We have a total of 6 RCICs on the team, plus the caseworkers and everybody else. But all of them very competent, know what they're doing, and of course, we all work together to learn and understand things better. So by all means, if you're looking for representation, please consider us. We have an ongoing promotion for draw days. Anytime the draw happens, any draw, express entry draw, and if you avail our services for complete handling within 48 hours of the draw, then we give you 15% discount off the complete handling services. Pretty cool, eh? Other than that, if you wish to book an appointment for consultation, then that is the link, askkubeir.com/appointment. I can discuss with you or any one of our team members or any one of us, sorry, RCICs you can book a consultation, you can discuss your case one-on-one, because I know there is no way I can answer all the questions. Of course, I'll try and do as much as I can. Today, I have about 30 minutes. Oh, wow. Okay. So we'll start with the questions now. Obviously, I will not be able to answer all the questions, and therefore, I request you that after this stream is done, please post your questions in the comment section. I will, towards the course of today and tomorrow, try and answer as many questions as I can. All right, so let's start this now. Okay. 496 work permit expiring 2026. Any chances, suggestions? Well, I did cover in detail what the chances are looking like. It looks pretty stretched at this point of time, of course, unless IRCC conducts those large draws and more consistently. With OINP introducing new employer portal that apply on job offer streams, any chance they will conduct skills trade stream by end of this year? Very difficult to say, because their quotas have also been slashed by 50%. And because their quotas have been slashed by 50%, then obviously, yeah, it's on that note, we should. Very difficult to say whether they will be conducting a draw or not. I mean, I would assume they should, because they do need skilled trade. But after they have launched the new employer portal, where they may be able to ask for documents directly from the employer, even under different streams, I think they will probably be waiting for that. They also have to still, they have to conduct a draw even under the master's PhD stream. Then there is a human capital priority stream. I think the chances for human capital priority stream is less or low, primarily because it also includes people who are federal skilled workers or people who may not be in Canada, and therefore they may be inclined to try and conduct draws only for people who are in Canada. It's a possibility. But then Ontario has a gamut of different streams that they can conduct draws in. I do not know if when they will conduct a draw. I hope they do one. And while on that, what we didn't talk about in my in my update was this, and that is because this gentleman just reminded me of that. So where is it? Just give me a moment, guys, please. Thank you. Just trying to add it here so that I can. Yes, Ontario's. Why didn't it? Yes, this was Ontario's update, which happened on the 12th of June. They are launching the new OINP employer portal. Of the people who are still not aware, if you haven't been watching all the reels and videos that are already here, they will be launching the new employer portal on the 2nd of July. What this basically means is that because there has been so many issues with a lot of employers not giving job offers, not signing the employer form, not providing with the required documents because they have concerns. They feel that they don't want to be sharing a lot of information with the employees, and therefore there is a lot of reluctance from their part to be giving out these documents to people. So what has happened is OINP has now created their own portal for employers only. And on this employer portal, it will allow them to provide a secure and a user-friendly digital platform, whatever that might mean. Using this employer portal, the employers will be able to send the documents directly to Ontario if needed. Everybody's expression of interest in the pool will be cancelled. Everybody, when I'm saying everybody, I mean only these three streams. Okay. Employer job offer foreign worker stream, employer job offer international student stream, employer job offer in-demand skill stream. These three streams, all the expressions of interest will be cancelled. So if you have an expression of interest, you will have to create a new one after the employers will first create theirs. So first, what the employers have to do, employers will have to go to this portal. They will have to create their own account and then update their employment details. And after they have done that, then you as an applicant can go onto the Ontario portal and create your expression of interest. And it will be linked to that information that the employer has posted. And then depending on your scores and depending on your category or your occupation, once you do get invited, then you will be able to complete your application and the employer will be able to provide the remainder details with regards to the financial employee data, their income, their revenue, or any kind of support that they have to offer to you in your application. So this will help a lot of individuals get that documentation. So more employers probably, hopefully, will be able to come on board because now they don't have to give the documents to you. They can give it to Ontario. And this will also help in ITAs not getting wasted, because earlier what was happening is a lot of people, they didn't even realize whether they were eligible, not eligible, whether their employer is supporting them, not supporting them. They would create their expression of interest anyways after they would get invited. Then they would freak out and go to the employers would refuse, and that ITA goes waste. Somebody else who had the employer support could have used it. So because the amount of wastage on these ITAs is so huge, and Ontario identified the problem, so they've gone to the bottleneck, they've identified what they can do about it, because they still want to protect the integrity of their system. They do not want to sort of bypass that, and therefore they found this to be the most efficient way, and hence this would be launched on the 2nd of July. During the month of June, all your expression of interests, if you are under the three streams, employer job offer stream, international student stream, in-demand skill streams, your expression of interests will be cancelled. And once your employer has created their account, you will then be able to go back and create a new expression of interest. I expect to see the numbers of expressions of interests to go down, of course. And I also expect to see that in future, when they do conduct the draws, more people will be able to get it, and more people will eventually be able to also get their nominations. This time faster, because the Ontario will be able to conduct their verifications and assessment faster and quicker. So overall, a good thing to happen. Right, back to the questions. I applied for a spouse open work permit in March based on my wife's postgraduate work permit. My work permit expires July 1st. Unsure of the outcome, should I apply for visitor record as a backup while waiting? There was a recent public policy that has said that you cannot create subsequent applications. If you do create subsequent applications while your original application is in progress, then the second application will not give you any protection. It will still be cancelled. You will still be given a warning. So there is no benefit whatsoever for you to apply for a visitor record as a backup, because IRCC has already said they do not accept any more backups, kind of a thing. So please don't apply for any visitor record as a backup. Wait for the decision of your application. And even if it is approved, great. If it gets refused, you will have 90 days to apply for restoration. Within that 90 days, either you can apply for a work permit again if you're eligible, if your spouse has 16 months remaining and working under tier category 0 or 1, or specific occupations under tier 2 or 3, or of course you can apply for a visitor record. So that's how it rolls. Received ITA through CEC, wife accompanying, her passport has name after marriage. Do we still need to submit lawyer affidavit for her name change? You don't need to submit lawyer affidavit. What you need to submit is proof of name change. So if you have proof of her maiden name and name after marriage, so like for example in the marriage certificate, sometimes the registrar does mention the name before and after marriage, so you can provide that, or you can just get a notarized affidavit from any public notary. It doesn't have to be a lawyer. You can get a one and the same person document, and you can upload that as proof of name change. Started working from August 24. When will I get the CEC points updation on my profile? You should get it in July, June, July, August, July. Yes. In case I get the points and receive ITA, can I submit my profile, or should I wait until August 26, 2025? Well, this is an known and an ongoing glitch in express entry system, which awards you points 1 month sooner. And the reason why it does it is because it is your points are you declare your period of work as per the month and year, and it always takes the first of the month, and towards the end it takes the first of that month as well. Technically what that does is that system tends to award you points on the 11th month for your 12-month work experience. So what you should be doing is you should still continue with your express entry. You should still continue with your invitation, complete all the documentation, but submit your application only after you have completed your 12 months of work experience with a brief letter of explanation as to what exactly happened. And it's not me who's saying it. It is IRCC who has said it very, very clearly. And I'm just trying to log on to my Twitter account and check IRCC, because I think IRCC did mention it. I think I just saw it this morning itself. And I will just share it with you if I can very quickly. Can I do this very quickly? Let's see if I can. Hold on. Because it's always good to give you context. That way you know where it is coming from. But Kubeir is not saying it from his mind. It actually is from the horse's mouth. So let me just share with you. Share screen. Window. Where is the window? Oh, why can't I see it? I cannot see. I can see it. Here you go. This is from the IRCC's Twitter account, and you can see how many times they have responded to different. Oh, where did it go? And as you can see, they have responded to different people at different times, saying the same thing. This is an issue with how the system calculates work experience. If you have the year of experience when you apply, you can go ahead and accept the ITA and include a letter of explanation about the situation. They've said it in 14th of December 2021, December 1, 21, August 11, 21, August 9, 21, and these are all from 21, right? So if you go to IRCC's Twitter account, you will see the same thing, that this is an ongoing issue, an ongoing glitch. There is no problem. You can absolutely accept this and submit to IRCC. No problem with that. Where did I lost the question? Casey. Foreign work experience in the study permit application SOP and not CV, not in postgraduate work permit due to limited space and cause I had gained new experience in other organization. Defending it possible? It's possible, but it can always be a question as to why haven't you disclosed it. You said foreign work experience in the study permit application. If you've shown it in the study permit application, you showed it in the SOP and the CV, then you should be able to defend your postgraduate work permit, because I'm not sure if you're aware, in the postgraduate work permit application guide, go onto the IRCC website, IMM 5710, download the application guide. When you download the application guide of 5710, there is a section which shows you how to complete that form. And in the section that shows you how to complete the form, it says under work history, you don't need to provide the details unless it's Canadian experience. So you can use that as a screenshot. You can show it to IRCC that your 5710 guide says that I don't need to provide this information, and you would be able to defend it. I don't see any reason why any judge will not accept that explanation, because that's IRCC's application guide. Can I put common law application in AIP? We haven't mentioned anything about common law in work permit application, but we are living together before and after the application of work permit. Well, common law in relationships is basically once you have lived or cohabitated together for at least 1 year, and you can prove that genuineness of the relationship and the duration of the one relationship. So in your situation, not mentioning common law is not an option for you, because if you do that, that would be misrepresentation. Whether you declared that in your work permit or not, that is irrelevant right now. Okay, but it can always be a question, but it's irrelevant. If you don't show it in your PR application, that is going to be a bigger problem, especially if you go on to sponsoring your spouse at a later date or sponsoring your partner at a later date. Because then the question is going to be that why didn't you disclose it, because it is already established that you guys have been living together. So please, it's not optional. Even whatever you're trying to do, please make sure you disclose correct relationship status. Otherwise, this is also, by the way, misrepresentation if you don't disclose it. So please always maintain truthfulness, honesty, candor. It's your responsibility to maintain that. So please do that. I got COPR yesterday. Thank you for all live stream and question and answer. It's really helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, congratulations. This is really, really awesome. I love these messages when I see that you finally managed to do it. This really worked out for you. Nothing makes me feel happier. Congratulations. Well done. GFPR, and I'm not sure. Is this GF? You mentioned girlfriend. Is a permanent resident, and I lived 8 months in Canada. I left, she job hunted from India in Canada. She got new job and also in India. 4 months cohab gap. Can I return and complete 12 months? Huh? This will be a gap which will be very difficult to explain. 4 months is a lot. One month period of time, if you have gotten separated for whatever the reason might be, you might be able to explain. You can take a chance. I mean, because if you come back and you again are in the common law relationship, but your common law relationship started earlier, but then there was a bit of a gap because you had to travel for whatever the reason might be, and you can explain that. You can take a chance, to be very honest, but the discretion will be with IRCC, because the regulation is very clear that you are cohabitating together for 1 year, and the relationship between you is of a normal couple, and there is economic interdependence. This is a genuine relationship. You're cohabitating. This is an intimate relationship. As long as you can establish all these factors and explain the gap, and you are showing that there is a continuity in your relationship from there on as well, then you may have a chance there. CRS will be 508 in May 26, 530 in Jan 27. Should I focus on PNP or express entry? 20 months postgraduate work permit. Education category in 26. Currently in India. Should I get PFL if I work 6 months as a six school teacher and 6 months as PSW? I can see you're strategizing, which is pretty awesome. I love people who can think far ahead, anticipate, where this might go, and strategizing. People like you are the ones who really, really are able to score in the top categories as far as the CRS scores go. So I don't see any problem. As long as your work experience outside Canada is genuine, you have documentation to prove it, then even if there are different kind of work experiences, whether it's a teacher or a PSW, well, you can always say that the reason you chose to do 6 months stints is because you wanted to qualify under a category, which is absolutely legit, no problem there. But As far as I'm concerned, I can't see that far ahead. I am not that Divyadarshi, as they call it, or so I can't see that far ahead in May 26 or Jan 27 for that matter. I would anticipate that the education category may continue maybe for another 1 year. Of course, there is no way for me to have that information as to would they or would they not. Early childhood educators and early childhood educators assistants do continue to be in demand in Canada. So there is a high possibility that might happen. But if your express entry score by itself can get to 530s, that's pretty cool as well. So I don't see any problem with the strategy. I think you can absolutely keep going for it. OINP in progress. Can I apply a work permit extension? Well, if you are eligible for work permit extension, you sure can apply for it. Study permit expires September 30th. Extension for study permit in process. Can I travel to India and return on current permit without issues? Yes, you can. As long as your current permit is valid, you have a TRV, you go outside and you return back your valid. You have a valid permit, you have a valid TRV, shouldn't be any issues at all. Can I add my spouse with new IELTS after ITA but before submitting the application as she has an exam on the June 21st? Yes, I don't see any issues. If it is new IELTS, means the previous old one has expired, I'm assuming, and that's the situation. But yes, you can absolutely, do this. There's no issues there. I mean, provided you got the ITA in the first place and you were eligible to receive the ITA under the given circumstances, yes, no problem. CEC AOR 10th April, postgraduate work permit till October 26, TRV till 2028, biomed pass, planning a 30-45 days trip. Can I travel? Should I inform IRCC? IRCC has no obligation for you to inform them if you are traveling. The obligation is of change in circumstances, change in family composition, change of address. This would not constitute as change of address. So by all means, travel. There is no problem. If while you are traveling, you get your P1, you can simply let them know you're traveling, give them the date of your return. Once you return back, let them know you are back and they would continue with your application. I don't see any problem. Absolutely go and travel. I'm sure you need the break. What's the child age range for home caregiver pilot? There is no child age range for home caregiver pilot. Usually children above the age of 12 can pretty much manage themselves and they are usually not considered as needing additional care unless there are any disabilities or there are any other issues involved. But anything below 12 is something which you may consider as range for the child caregiving. Submitted non-EEPR for 6 months back with Ontario nomination. Will the new OINP priority change affect it? No, absolutely not. If your application has already been submitted, then I don't think you have to be worried about anything at all at this point of time. Can disagreement from parents due to intercaste marriage be eligible for conjugal sponsorship for PR? Conjugal relationship, okay, no, it won't be, because parents' disagreement doesn't really, I mean, if you can have a conjugal relationship, then parents' disagreement would not really matter. Plus, depending on which country you currently are, depending on which country your spouse is, you may be able to make a case depending on those difficulties, depending on those circumstances. Not going to be easy. I will have to tell you that. Again, I do not know the details of this to basically give you a very clear answer. Yeah, but I mean, how do I even tell you? I don't even know which country you're talking about. I do not know. You as a permanent resident, you are in Canada or you're outside Canada. Why can't you go to that country? Why can't you be living there? Why can't you be a common law partner? Just the parents' disagreement and therefore conjugal sponsorship might not really work. Postgraduate work permit expired in Jan, applied for an extension and a visitor record. No decision has been made. If I get AOR, will this be an issue? No, there will not be an issue because of your AOR. I mean, I'm not sure where are you expecting an issue here? Your work permit will certainly be refused. Your visitor record application may be cancelled based on the new policy that IRCC has announced. If you get an AOR, it does not impact your cancellation, your refusal of your work permit does not impact your AOR in any manner, if that was the question. Can my common law partner also apply for bridge work permit after receiving AOR? Her work permit is expiring before mine. What are the options to extend? So again, I don't know who's the primary applicant. Only the primary applicant for apply for Bridge Open Work Permit, if eligible, depending on are you working in Canada? Do you qualify for a Bridge Open Work Permit? So assuming the primary applicant is eligible for a Bridge Open Work Permit, the accompanying spouse may also apply for a accompanying spouse open work permit, not a Bridge Open Work Permit. So the you have to be very clear with the, what am I calling it? To clear with these directions, otherwise you might make a mistake. So only your spouse by herself or himself cannot apply for a work permit, Bridge Work Permit here. It has to be accompanying with you. So you apply for Bridge Work Permit as a principal applicant, and the spouse can then apply for an open work permit. Going to India to work as social worker will qualify in 6 months. By end, I will be at 550. Any major changes coming that even 550 is not enough? There you go. See, this is what IRCC does to you. That even a person at 550 kind of a score is questioning whether would that work or not work. Well, based on all the data, based on all the information as far as the pool breakdowns and current standings, I think 550 at any given point of time, because the maximum you can score is 600. The number of people who can actually get to 550 are very, very few. I mean, I don't think you should be worried about 550 at all. I think you'll be fine. Submitted postgraduate work permit June 1 at 12:25 from Canada. Brief US trip 12:30 p.m., 11 p.m. Back same day. Got work authorization June 4. Does this affect status or submitted postgraduate work permit June 1st? Okay. Study permit was valid till September 25. Brief US trip. Okay. Got work authorization letter June 4th. Does it affect postgrad? No. No, it's not affecting you. Don't worry, please. Even because even if you're in implied status, but you have applied for a postgraduate work permit and your study permit was valid at that point of time, even if you leave the country and return back, you maintain your authority to continue working. It is clearly stated on the IRCC website. You can find that information. There's no problem at all. 9 + 8 months of separate foreign work experience, different knock code count as 1 year cumulative for CRS or must be 1 year continuous CEC. As far as Canadian experience is concerned, it could be any number of occupations. It could be in any different knock codes with under tier category 0, 1, 2, 3, under any number of employers. It doesn't matter. You can combine all of them, and it will, if it still counts as 1560 hours over 12 months, you are absolutely fine to claim 1 year of experience, because continuity is not a requirement and same occupation is not a requirement as far as Canadian experience class is concerned. So absolutely no problem here. Dummy extension refused, applied for visitor record, 90 days over, application in process, got ITA CEC. Should I raise a web form that I got my ITA? Can I apply for Bridge Open Work Permit? Apply for Bridge Open Work Permit? No, absolutely not. You lost that eligibility once you applied for visitor record. So you can no longer apply for Bridge Open Work Permit because your 90 days are over for restoration of status. That's it. You can, of course, you can raise a web form and you can let them know you have your ITA and that you would want to continue being in Canada while you are a visitor. But unfortunately, in this situation, you can't apply for Bridge Work Permit. I studied in Ontario, got supply early childhood assistant position, supply, okay, and full-time AC position in Alberta. Which job is better in terms of applying spouse open work permit for spouse? Spouse open work permit for spouse. I don't understand the question, but I think your question has to do with the category of your occupation. I think early childhood educators are included. Hold on. Spouse open work permit for foreign workers. And there you go. Let's see this. Where do we go? Okay, I'm just going to remove your question. Who can apply? Who can apply? And then tier category 2, early childhood educators. Do I see them here? Not yet. I don't remember the knock code for early childhood educators. Does anybody know the knock code? Early childhood educators? Yeah, there you have it. 42202. So early childhood educators are included. So if you are working early childhood educators and assistants, both are included. So there you go. That's already on the IRCC website. So whether you accept the job in Ontario or you accept a job in Alberta, doesn't matter. In both cases, you will be eligible for spouse open work permit. Your hours don't matter. As long as you are working, you are getting paid. That is what matters. Received IT and recent draw, currently applying for PR for myself, but now she has traveled to India for vacation. Should I wait for an entry or can I proceed? Oh, you can absolutely proceed. There is no problem. Just because your spouse or your child is traveling, that you don't have to wait for them to return back. You can absolutely continue with the application. Can a closed work permit holder visit India for around 6 months and gain a foreign experience and return without any trouble if employer allows me? Yes, absolutely fine. There is no issues. You should have a written understanding with your employer to say that they're allowing you to leave. And of course, that is uh, uh, without pay. What is that called? Leave of absence or whatever you want to call it. But yes, absolutely fine. No issues here. Can I apply for Bridge Open Work Permit if I receive ITA during my fake extension period? If yes, can I work legally after applying or wait for Bridge Open Work Permit to get approved? If you're applied for dummy extension, you can continue working until the decision is made on the dummy extension. Once it is refused, you can still apply for a Bridge Open Work Permit because you maintained your status as a worker, and even within the restoration period after your dummy extension has been refused, you would be eligible to apply for restoration and therefore your Bridge Open Work Permit. However, you cannot work once your dummy extension has been refused. You will have to wait until your Bridge Open Work Permit gets approved. That's very important. My PNP file is in the pool with 380, but can I work as self-employed worker and pay HST at the end of year? I completed 1 year experience in construction. Of course you can. If you have work permit in Canada, which is an open work permit, you can work as a self-employed worker, no problem. Work experience as self-employed person in Canada does not count towards express entry and most PR applications. My OINP is in dip. Will the new OINP rule affect it? No, I don't see that impacting the applications in process. 7,600 pilot. If I get accepted for RCIP, how much time would I need to live in that community before I can leave? Well, ideally, you should choose to live in that community for as long as possible. That's the only reason. So there is no time duration given by any community or any province to say this is how long you must live. The idea should be genuine intent to reside in that community or that province. That is why you get that nomination or that endorsement. Okay, here. Sorry, what is that? When to apply for work permit extension? Whenever you are eligible to apply for work permit extension, that's when you apply for it. Does dummy work permit render misrepresentation these days? No, not at this point of time, depending on what you are explaining in your application. As long as you can provide full disclosure as to why you are applying for that extension, then there can't be any misrepresentation. Misrepresentation happens is when you're trying to mislead the officer to make an error in their decision. That is where that could be misrepresentation. So if you have provided full disclosure as to why you're applying for one, it should not be a problem. 508 will turn 34 on Monday, could lose 5 points already in 90 days window since May 2. Okay, I wish you all the very best. Any chance of OINP skill in demand category? Well, they already did in demand skill draw. I don't know if they will do a general category or not. There is no way for me to know what kind of draws they might be looking to conduct. Postgraduate work permit, spouse open work permit on maintained status, original extensions approved. Postgraduate work permit applicant can't work as waiting for approval. Will spouse remain on maintained status after 26th of June? Yes, as long as you applied for applications, each person has their own status. If you applied for a work permit extension before the current one expires, they will be on maintained status. They will continue to be on maintained status until the decision has been made. Will I qualify Ontario International Student Stream with indefinite duration contract full-time tier 1 job? It should be full-time permanent job offer, and the employer has to be willing to support you. Check for the new employer job portal regulations that have been published to see if your employer is supporting you. I need to apply for work permit as my passport expires next month. If I get TRV in my new passport and travel to Canada, can I still work in Canada on employed status after returning? No, you can't. Your implied status is while you live in Canada. The minute you leave Canada, you lose your implied status, and therefore you cannot return back and continue working. I'm working full time in India. After postgraduate work permit expired, I'm pursuing MCom and I'll grad in July. Can I claim points for study and work? Yes, you can. If the studies and the work was outside Canada, then yes, you can claim points for work experience and for your studies after you get the evaluation done. Do I have to mention my 3 unpaid month vacation in my express entry profile or after I receive my ITA? After you receive your ITA, in your personal history, you can mention those 3 months of unpaid vacation. How many EE can be created? There's nothing here. How many EE can be created? Do we need to mention UCI when creating it? If we don't, will that come under misstep? You can only create one express entry profile. You should not be creating multiple express entry profiles. Your UCI number is issued to you after you have received your ITA, submitted your PR application, and completed your biometrics, or just before that. So what you are seeing on the express entry profile is not your UCI number. It's an express entry pool candidate number. It starts with CAN. So it's not your UCI number. I completed study in Calgary. My job, it's kind of IT job, will be in Vancouver. What will be my pathway to PR? I'm sorry, but I cannot give you pathways to PR on this platform. The time is too short and I really cannot go into details. Plus the information that you're providing is not enough to talk about any pathways. I'm working on construction, general labor in New Brunswick. Whether in New Brunswick, I can apply for PNP after 6 months in an experience in skilled worker draw. Please check New Brunswick's website for their program. I honestly do not remember the criteria or the knock codes that might be included. So you're better suited by checking the New Brunswick website for their program criteria. Can I accept the ITA even though EE profile gave me points on the 11th month and submit documents and LOE to get AOR and to upload in my existing dummy extension, just trying to avoid being out of status and continue working? The answer to your questions is yes, you can submit your application after completing 12 months, not before completing 12 months. And once you get your AOR, you can raise a web form, you can send it to IRCC for your work permit extension application. And if that gets refused, you can apply for bridge open work permit. Foreign work experience from June 2019. How can I claim it as 3 years of experience? As 2 years, 10 months, 13 days, and I mentioned it as in PSWP. PSWP, I do not know what you mean by PSWP. Well, if it is not 3 years, unfortunately, you can't claim 3 years. What you can do is you can leave Canada, go outside, work for another month, add that, work for 2 months in your case, and then that becomes 3 years. But if you haven't completed 3 years, then you can't say it as 3 years. It's just that. Work permit expiring in 26, planning to start remote job next month, which align with my current education. Can this work experience be counted as foreign work experience? So yes, it can. I did a very detailed video on remote work experience. Watch that. It has a lot of information as to what you must be paying attention to with regards to your work experience if it is remote. As of right now, IRCC does have some issues with remote work experience, though it should be legit. I don't see any problem with that. As long as you can prove the genuineness of that work experience, then you can absolutely claim that period as remote work experience. But you can't double dip. You cannot claim Canadian experience and foreign work experience at the same time, overlapping. So you will have to choose which one you wish to claim points for. Guys, don't do any more super chats. I will just not be able to complete them and then you will not like it. To experience in Ontario with 1 year in welding, score 444, should retake the IELTS to score below 435 to target. Should I take IELTS to score below 435 and target upper cap of 444? Well, you don't even know whether Ontario will have an upper cap of 444 because they may wait first for IRCC to conduct their trade category draw and only then conduct the Ontario skilled trade stream. So this is a very, very difficult one to tell you. It's a decision you will have to make yourself because Ontario is not unpredictable in terms of when they will conduct a draw, and same with IRCC. But one thing is for certain, Ontario historically has always conducted draws with 1 point less than the last express entry draw. So maybe they'll want to wait for that. Score 498, work experience 25, any chances, CEC below. Please watch the video from the beginning. We've talked about that in details, about the chances. Nothing here. Student worked full-time while rules were changing. What are the consequences for working for more than 20 hours on PR application? Work permit approved in 2023. While the rules were changing, that doesn't work. It was one day this is the rule, next day that is the rule, and you must always follow the rules. If you are not working as per the rules, then, or if you're working excess of the rules, then you would be in non-compliance of Immigration Refugee Protection Act, which can have consequences. Again, it all depends what the situation was, when did you work, what did you do, and that to answer your questions, then yes, those can have consequences. Nothing here, nothing here. Got IT in October, Ontario Skilled Trade Draw, submitted documents, but since no further progress, any idea how long it may take? As of right now, we are seeing approvals coming in for May, June, July. So it might be a bit longer. You've even seen some October, August as well. But yes, predominantly the applications have been quite delayed from Ontario. Why no STEM draw? I wish I knew the answer, but I don't. Postgraduate work permit ends in September. Got PAL, non-EE. Should I apply bridge work permit? You can afford to wait. Maybe wait till August. I do not know when did you apply for your Ontario's application, non-express entry. But if you just got provincial attestation letter now, then you should definitely apply for bridge work permit once you have submitted your PR application. Me and spouse didn't get 3 years postgraduate work permit. We got the permits in 2024. Now for extension, do we fall under the new rule of tier 1 or 0 jobs? Well, to be very honest, IRCC hasn't clarified whether these rules will apply to the extensions or not. Therefore, the recommendation would be to follow the rules of that is in force. If you don't, then you will risk the refusal. If you want, you can take a chance with a detailed letter of explanation, but again, the discretion will be with IRCC. Is reference letter mandatory for Indian work experience? I have pay stubs, offer letters, promotion letters. Absolutely, 100%. Without reference letter, you cannot claim work experience, because if you don't mention roles and duties and responsibilities, how does IRCC validate your knock code? So duties and responsibilities, extremely critical. Implied status waiting for AOR from homeschool worker pilot so as to apply for bridge open work. Can my wife visit? Oh yes, of course. If your wife has a valid TRV, your wife can certainly visit. No problem there. Postgraduate work permit expiry, LMIE application, applied for work permit, waiting for CEC. Can I apply for bridge open work permit after AOR to hold on to maintain status if closed work permit gets rejected? If you already have a work permit in process, then you cannot apply for another work permit. You'll have to wait for the work permit to get refused. You will lose status, and then you will apply for bridge open work permit if you already have AOR by that time within the 90 days restoration period. You cannot have a subsequent application anymore. IRCC has made it clear. Girlfriend is in India, wants to visit me on implied status, postgraduate work permit is process. Should she apply as tourist or should I sponsor her? You can't sponsor her. You cannot sponsor your girlfriends or boyfriends. You can't. There is no such provision. So yeah, your girlfriend will have to apply for a visit visa. You may provide a letter of invitation, but that's all you can do. And no, it doesn't impact your spouse open work permit in future. But there is no provision to invite your girlfriend or your boyfriend, unfortunately. Done PSW in Ontario, any specific province to focus? No, I can't tell you what province to focus. You will have to look at individual provinces to see if this occupation is in their priority list. You will still need employer job offer in most cases. RCIP also might be an option, but you can consider. But finding an employer who will be able to give you a job offer might be the trick. What if immigration consultant didn't mention the ongoing bachelor's degree? Can I claim points for degree for PR? No, you can't. Even if your consultant didn't mention, it is your application. It is your responsibility. It would still be held against you as misrepresentation if you have withheld such important information in the past and are now claiming points for it. So yes, it can backfire. Doesn't matter if your immigration consultant didn't do it or if you were doing it. Well, that's basically all I had. Just managed to finish all the questions. Thank you so much for joining in, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Please do continue to follow. Please subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I will see you again next week in another live stream. Until then, stay forever hopeful.